That really happened.
Welcome everybody to episode number 4, True Confessions of a Car Guy. My name's Badgie, and the host of the show is John Gavin. John, welcome again.
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Long day. Now it's time to have some fun. And now we have our first guest too. I'm going to bring him on in just a second. Who's been in the car business for several years, just to give us a unique and funny perspective of what he does, and some of his funny stories as well. We are pleased to join by Frankie, whatever he goes by now. Gavin, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thank you for having me, of course.
Yeah, thanks for being on, and you're officially our first guest. Oh, we can't forget Huck, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Huck. So for those of you who don't realize it yet, yeah, Frank's related to me. Frank's my godson and my nephew. And Frank, explain to everybody how you got in the car business. How did you get into this racket?
Yeah, so actually the guy above me, both of these guys I've had the privilege to work with together with. I'm coming up on year number 12. After leaving the fitness industry. I know it doesn't look like I was in fitness for a long time, but I was. I get a phone call one day that says, "Hey, it's your favorite Godfather, and how do you feel about selling cars for me now?" Knowing that I left the fitness world, and I said, "I don't know. I've never done it before. I like cars, but I've never sold cars. I don't know the first thing about it." He said, "Perfect. That's when you're going to make the most amount of money." And I said, "Okay, well, that's all I need to know." And first day selling cars with my uncle, or John, as you guys know him, and Badgie. I sell my first car on my first day. Next day, I sold another car, and then my first Saturday, which a couple days later, I did a hat trick. I had no clue. I sold my first car through a dealership before buying a car through a dealership. And you got to remember back in those days, 12 years ago, take a kid who makes $9-10 an hour, thinking he's manager, and you hand him a check for a 6-7 car pay period. I almost had to grab her at the tower, and never looked back. So that was the intro to my car journey. And coming up on year 12, wore a lot of different hats. Currently, I'm in the service side of things, but I've done everything from sell cars to be an impromptu porter, all the way up to F&I, which John also had a hand in getting me trained. Taking a step back to sales and internet, BDC, which I've learned from Badgie, all the way to service advisor. Sometimes a tech if they can't figure it out, but I'll get my hands dirty as well, and pretty much everything in between.
Yeah, I gotta say you were natural when you started. You were great with people, because I was you're the boss, and you bring in your godson, your nephew. And I told everybody, play no favorites.
Yeah.
So they didn't make your life easy, that's for sure.
No.
I know for a fact they didn't. Their job was to be up your ass and make sure you did your job. So, But you were natural. I mean, what's the difference between working selling on the floor, and because you're a writer now, right? That's what you're doing, service writing. What's it? Because you're selling. But I think the big difference is, what a lot of people don't understand, is that you're really helping the customer if they got extended warranties and stuff like that. You're really like their speaker for them. You're gonna try to get as much fixed for them under their insurance policy as possible, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, correct. So the main difference, I guess, from selling a car and being the guy that fixes your car in a different sense is, as a joke, I say I'm the bad news guy now, because for multiple years I was the good news guy. Hey, I got you more for your trade-in. Hey, I lowered your interest rate. Hey, you don't have to give me all that money down, and you got a brand new car. You got your used car that you've been looking for. Now people come in and I get to tell them what's wrong with the car and how much it's going to cost. Until we get some good news of, hey, I have a service contract, which I'm very familiar with selling, being from finance, and doing this for this is my fourth year as service advisor. I'm sorry. different warranty companies. I know the good ones. I know the bad ones. For the record, everybody watching this, Ice-T does not use CarShield. I don't care what he says. He doesn't register his cars, let alone keep a warranty on them. So do your part. But I think the main difference is, like you said, I am the voice of.
You're their advocate, pretty
exactly.
much.
Advocate's probably the best word. I'm the guy now that will take your car in, get your concerns as close as humanly possible as you tell me. You know, I don't just write down car broke, go fix car. I will find out what kind of problems you're having. Are there indicator lights on? Or is it a drivability thing? Is it a noise thing? Is it a smell thing? Is it a vandalism thing? I have a hand in the body shop as well. I did that for a couple of years in my current dealership, and has body shop. So I like to do that as well. And I work with 25, 30 different warranty companies, all the major insurance companies, and I am your voice. I am the guy that calls them and says, hey, I have a car, I have a problem. It's a mutual customer. They paid a lot of money for your product. It's time for you to pay up and fix their issues. Sometimes multiple issues, sometimes stuff that I find that is not a problem yet, but I know will be, and I will, reduce the times you have to come back. And overall just try and be your go-to person between when you bring the car in, as the repair happens, and re-delivery of the car.
How many times does it happen where you've got some poor customer who can't, you need $3,000 worth of work. They just can't do it. You just got it. How often does that happen? Because they didn't buy the extended warranty in the box. How often does that happen today?
Sure. More often than you think. It's never a fun thing to go to a customer and say, hey, I know you're paying monthly for this car, and car payments nowadays are, I think the average was like $750, almost $800 worth of car payments. Now, on top of it, you got a guy that tells you, hey, not only do you have to make that month payment, but here's $2,500 worth of repairs, $3,000 worth of repairs. And the bad news is they didn't buy a warranty. There are some companies now. The main one is Sunbit, which most dealerships have now. It is it's essentially they will front the money for repairs and you pay them back. There's certain plans that offer with no interest. There's certain, some people will get covered that $3,000 in full. Sometimes it's half, sometimes it's more than what they need and they don't have to use it all. But it happens more often than you think. Cars nowadays versus when I first started, it's a lot more, you almost need an engineering degree. It's not your 15-minute thermostat anymore.
Well, if you open up the hood, you can't even see the motor. There's all kinds of covers, all kinds of stuff. And I always say, I'm not mechanical, but I almost think it's, almost criminal not to buy a warranty on today's cars if you're going to keep it, because back in, like what you were just talking about, there used to be a place called HFC, Household Finance, and that was a normal phone call for service to call Fat Jack, that was his name, called or Fat Mac, something like that, right on Irving Park, and right where he used to work. Used to be the Lynch Auto Group. They were around forever. They were like really big 9-10 franchises. But you call that call come out of service that, hey, we got a customer doesn't have a warranty, $3,000. So HFC, they call them, and they never had no interest loan. So it's good to hear. So you deal with, 25 different warranty companies. So does that mean that, you see it on TV every day, you get an email every day. If you own a car, you get mail, an email, or a phone call about somebody selling a warranty. There's some really bad ones out there that you really, I don't want to name the one you're talking about, because I get it, but I don't believe he has that warranty either, because I don't think they cover certain, like they don't cover Rolls Royce, they don't cover Bentley, they don't
what he drives. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of stipulations on cars that don't cover his warranty companies, but how is it to deal with one of these companies what do they do not to pay? What do you got to go through?
It's tough, and it's tough to also explain to a customer that they are paying for a service that sometimes they don't step in. It's almost like an insurance policy that is trying to find a loophole. Your standard repairs now, like minor suspension work, minor cooling system work, usually goes off without a hitch. no matter the company. But these big claims, engine replacement, engine repair, transmission rebuild, major steering components, stuff like that, major cooling system, they will try. Most companies will try and find a way out of it. They'll want previous service records. They'll want current condition. Hey, was the car driven to failure not on purpose, but did they try to avoid it at all? When did the problem start? Stuff like that. And again, as your advocate, I think you use that word as probably the best one. I'm always going to go to bat for my customers. I learned very early from both you and my father, your brother. You're never going to make enough money off one person, and the odds of them coming back to you, you want it to be a good experience. So will I help you as much as I can? Yes. If there are service records to provide, making sure that your oil changes were done on time, making sure that, the brand that I'm with now is Ford. They have a maintenance tool online that shows that 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, there's certain things that need to be done. We try to make sure that those are done. It's not always, I think in some of your previous episodes, you talked about the upsell. A lot of these companies, you have to follow those guidelines. Very similar to insurance being, are you in good health now? Do you smoke? Do you drink? What's your sleep schedule look like? If you're actively harming your body, such as actively harming your car, maybe not even knowing, that is a stipulation of some of these warranty companies.
So and always keep your records.
Correct. Yeah. In the glove box, like everybody else does with your warranty booklet. Keep all that. And also try to, this is a general message to the public. Try and remember if you bought an extended warranty. A lot of these policies are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sometimes, depending on the car that you buy. And the brand that I'm with now, almost, I would say 30-40% forget that they had one. So I come up and I look like an absolute hero. And hey, great news! I just found $5,000 worth of work that needs to be done, and all you got to give me is $100.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my God, why didn't nobody tell me?" I don't know. I'm here to help. That's all I can really say.
Well, we always get a bad rap because we're selling a customer products and, saying that you need this. And quite frankly, this is a machine. And it's a machine. It'd be like taking your computer, tying it to your car and dragging it down the street every day. That's what it goes through, especially Chicago streets or pothole streets, big city driving. I mean, it's like just throwing your laptop around or dragging it behind your car. So a lot's changed when it comes to like what you deal with, because you have, people go and they'll rate you. So you have to take care of everybody. Yeah. And not that we didn't, but you could do funny things to people. It was funny to me, but we would have customers call, and they always call and want to tell you about what's wrong with their car. So, I mean, we'd have people will bring the phone up to the car. Well, weren't even cell phones. So, well, I can't do that. I can't get the phone out there. Well, tell me what it sounds like. It's like, so we would have, you'd have people telling you all kinds of different noises. And, it was kind of funny back then, but it's so expensive today, like you were mentioning. I mean, I don't think you can get away with, what's a brake job today normally cost just for a regular sedan? What's a brake job on a car today?
Sure. I just did one, like I said, brand I'm with now is Ford. I just quoted out a Fusion today. And most places, I'll put it like this, a complete brake job now on either axle, front or rear, is between $650 and $750.
Most, a lot of money.
Oh yeah. Most places, not mom and pop places necessarily, but most dealership-esque places will circumvent the safety of it. And we don't do pad slaps anymore. Nobody cuts rotors. The manufacturers know this. They've cut, or they've made things so, I don't know if, I guess they've made things with not as much care as back in the day, where you can't cut rotors anymore. There's no material to cut. Now it's
right.
Brake pads, kind of the same thing. And I'm not always saying, you have to go OEM. You're talking to a guy that, before he got into cars, lived out of an AutoZone. I like doing work in the garage myself. I can navigate early 90s or maybe early 2000s car. But today's day and age, if you don't have an engineering degree, you can't just take a 6-pack anymore and go underneath a tree. And there's no carburetors anymore. There's no, thermostats that don't need to be programmed. So, and it's a lot of the little stuff too, that it's like that nickel and dime stuff. Filters now. I mean, there's 4 or 5 different shutters to do a cabin filter. I mean, I remember going to do a cabin filter, it'd take me 3 minutes. Yeah. Now, I mean, you need a Rubik's Cube and a Jenga set to get the glove box off, get the shutter down. I mean, it's crazy.
Are there any warranty companies that make you use only OEM parts besides the factory probably will only do OEM, correct? Or is it mandatory by anyone?
So that's actually another part of the, like you mentioned, some other companies. Most OEM companies, as long as the part is available, they will use factory OEM spec original equipment. Some of these companies, depending on what you pay, what you set up your policy with, will actively try and use aftermarket stuff.
Right.
Used parts, big, for bigger jobs and stuff like that. They will want to send you parts. They get a kickback from their supplier versus our supplier. At that point, I will obviously offer it to you. If you were to come in and say, okay, I might check engine lights on. I tell you need a throttle body. You tell me you have an extended warranty, and I tell you your extended warranty wants to send me, Jim Bob's throttle body for $55. Right. Would you like to buy the OEM one for $110? You just pay the difference. That's an option. Again, that's something that comes up with extended warranties and what I do now. You always get the biggest bang for your buck, I would say, with OEM.
You should.
It's always the most expensive, but you get the most coverage.
I'm a big you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
I believe that my whole life. I don't care what it is. You get what you pay for, whether it be car parts, the car itself. Mm-hmm. If you got, you always hear people doing work, whatever it may be. I don't care if it's plumbing, electrical, heating. So they get 3 estimates. Well, you know me. I never take the lowest one for sure. And I mostly always take the highest one, but I still check that one to make sure they're good. Because you get what you pay for. Yeah. And, we charge a premium, but as I said back when I sold cars, people would come in, I'd get a lot of referrals, I'd make X amount of dollars, and they probably could go beat the deal, but they couldn't beat the service and the follow-up and everything else that goes with it that they've grown to accustomed to, and they appreciate it. I mean, when you're picking up people's cars at their house and bringing it in for them, whenever they give you a call, it's a big difference because you made $400 more than the next guy or $500 more than the other guy was going to charge them. They appreciate that kind of stuff. So I'm sure good service goes a long way today. And I think, especially like I told you, you were a natural selling cars. I got to believe people love you when they come in because you're really good with people. You're just a good guy. You're a good kid.
Thank you. And that's I think most, if not all of the newer generation of car guys or car girls, car people, we're normal people. I think what a lot of people forget, we don't live upstairs from parts. I got 2 kids. I have a wife. I play golf. I have a dog. I want to come visit you on the coast. But we are normal people at the end of the day. I am not out to get anybody. 99.9% of the car dealers are not out to get you. Unfortunately, a lot of times we're actually handcuffed by these manufacturers or your extended warranty companies or your insurance policies or whatever have you, depending on the department you're in. We're just there, like you said it before in episodes. We're just here to either sell a car, do your service, do your body shop stuff, answer questions. We're the proverbial punching bags where we will help you. A lot of people buy 3, maybe 4 cars in their life. When I was with you, I was doing 20 to 30 cars a month. Now I'm writing anywhere from 150 to 300 cars a month. So I've learned what are the common things, what should you be on the lookout for, what you don't really have to be on the lookout for. And that's all I want to give to my customers. And I have had customers follow me from brand to brand, dealer to dealer. I still have people from my previous endeavor with Chrysler come to my Ford store and do their service there just out of trust. Like I said, I would never do something. I always went into it. How would I want my mom to be treated at a dealership, or how would I want my brother?
I feel the service writer now has a better connection to the customer than even the salesperson, because the salesperson, you just mentioned, they buy a car 3 or 4 times in their lifetime, maybe 5, whatever it is, but it's every 3 to 4 years at minimum, maximum, whatever you want to call it. But with service, they're in at least once a year, sometimes twice.
Sure.
And you're really helping them out in the sense, because you're the bad guy at this point. So you really do everything you can to make it as easy out of pocket as possible. Because again, we're not just there to take your dough. We're there to try to help. Of course, everybody makes money. That's just how the world works. But we do, as a service writer, I know that everyone I've ever met goes out of their way to take care of the customer. There's a lot more longevity in service writers. They seem to last longer at the stores, and the customer comes in and asks for them. They'll come in and say, "Is Frank in?" Which is great. That's kind of how I believe in the future. Service becomes so important to car dealers. It was always important, but it wasn't until we got rated and reviewed online that it became that we better do a really good job and not have me having the guy put a phone to his car and tell me the noises. So you can't do that anymore. But it's gotten to a point where that's our main focus. Even we sell cars, but it's really important to get our customer that we sold to come to us. So
there's, I think a lot has changed too from the I call it the Wild West. I wasn't around for the 80s and 90s of selling cars, even 2000s, later 2000s, sure. But I think there's a reason now that most service departments are twice or 3 times the size of a showroom. I think every year the manufacturers get crazier and crazier deals with, if I know Ford's doing employee pricing, little plug for you, Ford. Chrysler did employee pricing many times for me. So that money that everybody thinks we make up in the front end all goes away when the manufacturer says it goes away. But
they also make you put in machines that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to diagnose these vehicles. And, the customer doesn't really see that part when they're buying the car. And we're talking about making a profit is because we got to have to spend a lot of that just to get one part that's got to read your car 6 months from now. And you might not ever even see this part or know that it's happening. But it pretty much self-diagnoses a lot of the stuff right now. Plug and play, a lot of things are plug and play.
Yeah, most of the stuff nowadays, you can deduce. There's still diagnostic trees, and it's not as simple as just reading a code anymore. There's so many, everything's connected with everything. The cooling system's connected to the engine's connected to the powertrain's connected to the it's so intricate to where a lot of people come in and the big thing that I get questioned on is a diagnostic fee. Well, if your guys have been doing this for 50 years, how do they not know? Well, nobody just knows. A doctor still has to figure you out, right? Or an insurance adjuster has to figure you out. You can't just look at your house and say, okay, it's worth this, or he looks at your leg and okay, it's this. Our guys kind of do the same thing. We're car doctors. We will get your symptoms or your concerns. We will plug in our scanner, and we will go from there. Okay, you have 3 active codes, 4 historic codes. This one happened a year ago, but this one happened 3 days ago. This is the concern that you have. Let's try and figure this out. A lot of people think they can still go to an auto parts store, get the quick scan for free, and then I just do the work. Well, the problem is if I just throw that part in there and it doesn't fix it, I still got to pay my guys. How many times that happened?
Oh, well, one part, something goes afterwards.
Oh, sure. To be fair, I think I sign more. I have more people sign paperwork than they do a house if they want to do it that route. I will take your AutoZone or your Pep Boys diagnostic sheet. I will get the part. I will take the part that you bought from them that isn't OEM, and I will put it in your car. If that doesn't fix it, now you got to pay me double.
Do you have people come in and want you to turn the lights off? Just turn the lights off on the car because they're going to trade it somewhere else or sell it? Do you have that happen?
I do actually. I have a funny story about that, actually, that you bring that up. I don't even know if the light was off when this happened. But so this is circa, it ended in 17. I believe this was 2015. And this customer is a very good customer of mine, very dear friend of mine, actually followed me to my current Ford store. I'm not going to name any names. He'll know who he is if he sees this on YouTube. But I developed a relationship with this customer. He had Chrysler used to do lifetime warranty. And if you're not familiar with Chrysler, it is exactly what it sounds like. It is warranty for the life of that vehicle. What the disclaimer is, that warranty ends when the value of the repair is more than the value of the car. So for the many years that I was at Chrysler, he would see me all the time. Hey, I need an oil change. He had my personal cell phone number. Hey, I need this. I need that. Or, hey, my check engine light came on. Or, hey, this is going on. What can you do for me? And every time I'd get it covered under warranty. Sometimes I'd help him out with his deductible. He'd sometimes be in, and this is an older car, keep in mind, this is an 11, 12-year-old car, but who gets rid of a car if you don't have to, right? With payments, what they are now. So that was always his goal. He's like, I'm going to keep it as long as I can, And I always remind him, hey man, starting to get up there in the warranty value, get ready for that call. Well, I had left my Chrysler store, to go to Ford, and, he had called me and he's like, hey, so they need to take apart my engine. He's like, what should I do? And I'm like, well, you got the warranty. You got to let him figure out what's wrong with your car. Long story short, they take apart his engine. He needs a new engine. Chrysler. Now, I don't know how this works. I think this is why Chrysler's gone through so many owners. No offense, but Chrysler bought him out of his car, or bought him out of his warranty for the current value of his Jeep. So he got a check for $1,000, paid the dealership to put the car back together, and got that check in hand. And he drove it the 10 miles to, still with the problem, not a brand new engine or anything, still a problem, did not fix the car. Drove it the 8-10 miles to CarMax, traded it in, sold his car to CarMax for another $1,000. And I said, hey, this brand new red ST line on showroom. I know red's your favorite color. And I actually, to touch on my sales part too, there was a dealer that was beating my price. But he's like, I'm not going anywhere else but, to you. So I always trust you. So even though, it's a few $100 more, in the long run, I know you're going to take care of me. And I did after the sale too. And I gave him a big hug, and now we're on a new endeavor with Ford, but yeah, I don't know how that worked for Chrysler. Not only do you get to keep the car, you get paid to keep the car, and then you do whatever you want.
I have a very dear friend, and you know him, who has that warranty. I didn't even believe that they had a warranty like that. It must only been 1 year or 2 years they sold it. I don't know how long it was around.
This was a bit. This was, I think, like 3 or 4 years.
Whatever it was, I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Oh yeah, wait a second! Unlimited years." He paid like $1,200 or $1,500 for it or something, and he still has that car today.
Sure.
I didn't even think about that value because I wasn't familiar with that warranty at the time. I've been dealing with luxury cars for too long that I didn't even realize that they had that kind of warranty, because the luxury car warranty's $3,000-$4,000 regardless.
Easily,
just to look at it, but yeah, he's still got it. But to get back to what I was asking you today, it's so hard to get vehicles. Cars are almost impossible to get. The auction is down, at least 50%, maybe more. The price is up at least 10%, 15% than it was 3 years ago, before COVID. We're paying no COVID prices still at the auction. So a lot of people are trying to buy cars. Well, a lot of places that are buying cars, people are trying to scam them. They're having the lights turned off, and they'll buy those. They'll go on Prime or go on Temu and buy the machine to shut it off, the reader, shut off the lights. Well, it's just been rampant lately. Every dealer I talk to is telling me, I had a guy who spun the miles back on his quad cab. It was a tow. There's no doubt he was towing with it. So it's gone, there's another way. Car dealers, we're always the bad guy. But the truth is we get so many things happen to us that we're just a lot more careful on how we do stuff. And again, I'm not saying we don't try to make money. That's our job. We're out there to try to make money just like any other profession.
Yeah.
But
I don't know of another business that isn't out there to make money.
No, me neither.
I have a family to provide for. I have 2 kids. Daycare is not cheap. We're a two income household with today's day and age. I mean, I wish I can, provide like my father did and like you did. I know you guys were both working, but like my dad did. I'm a product of that. I grew up. I'm an old soul. Is what they call me. I'm the youngest of the oldest 3, I guess, from you guys. And but I think I grew up pretty quick. I got to working straight out of high school. Nowadays, we wear that black eye of old days, and and we're trying to wash that away. Like you said, to touch on, we're just people. We are not out to get anybody. If we hurt you, we're never going to see you again. I'm never going to make enough money off one visit. I want to be your car guy for life. And me coming from all those departments, I go out of my way to explain to people, hey, this is what you're going to get in finance. Hey, this is what you're going to get if you go to the sales team. Hey, this is what you're going to get when you go to service. This is what you're going to get when you go to parts. 12 years is a long time for some people. If you add up all my high school years, it's probably about 12. But I want to be your encyclopedia. I want you to text me about not even my brand and say, hey, this guy's telling me this. Does this sound right? And I can go to sleep knowing that I gave you a proper course of action. It's not malicious in any way, not stealing from anybody. Like I said, I like to put my head down. I like to go to sleep. I like to, I can look myself in the eyes and say, you did nothing wrong.
You're carrying the Gavin torch right now. So your dad was that way. He got a lot of referrals. I got a lot of referrals. Sounds like you're going to get a lot of referrals. So I want to thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
I told everybody I would have different types of guests, different types of stories, and I think you enlightened a lot of people today on how it works in the service drive. Yeah. And for all of you listening, I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, share. We're going to have another guest next week. This one's going to be a guy who's an old car guy like me. So hopefully we'll hear some funny stories. But in the meantime, thank you, Frank, for coming on. And that's it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. And, like John said, like, comment, subscribe, helps out the YouTube algorithm. Let's get this to as many people as we can. We're a couple sets of guys that just like helping people.
Yep.
Yeah, we want to thank everybody again for tuning in. This was enlightening, and I remember Frankie's first day in selling that car. I know we're a product of the Gavin tree. I know I am as well. Just like coaches in the NFL, you have the coaching trees.
Sure.
You got the Gavin tree, and
I think Badgie could be. I mean, he's 2 letters away from switching his name to Gavin. I think he's in there. What do you think?
Well, I learned from them, and you see how it helped a lot of people get into this business, and we can't say thank you enough for that. But to be that way, like you said, old soul, and this us as the new generation, we got to deal with a different type of clientele too. People are educated too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They've got access to everything.
Yep.
So right. You got to be real. I started saying 10 years ago, whoever's the most transparent will win the battle, because it is a battle out there. There's Chicago market is probably the toughest market in the whole country. Guys in New York, New Jersey will argue with me, and guys in Florida will argue with me. But I know that I'm pretty right about this. I know guys from both of those. They are very difficult markets, but Chicago market, is a really tough market, very competitive, a lot of dealers close together. There's not 3 bridges to get across to get to them. I mean, you can get anywhere almost in an hour. So, well, maybe longer because of construction, but
and people drive. We had a guy today that he's like, well, can't you just dealer trade to the dealer that's by me? I go, no, we work hard. We worked hard. Our general manager worked hard to order. He orders these cars because we know it's going to sell. We're not going to just trade it away. So it's very competitive. But
they know they have the info. That's why the guy said he knows every single car you got, what's coming in, because we try to be transparent today in all aspects. So
you will be found out. If you are one of those 0.1 percenters out there, they will figure you out. It's not hard.
It's surprising because, like I said, I talk to people every day, and they get so much misinformation, and and I've learned, and I think the management team is the same. You got to tell it like it is, because, like you said, you're eventually going to get found out. So you say, look, here's the situation, here's how it is, and if they don't buy it or they don't come to you, that's fine. At least, like I said, I sleep well at night. I'm sure you do well as too because of that. But again, we want to thank you guys for joining us. Our website, trueconfessionsofacarguy.com. If you have a favorite podcast platform, you can download it there, and also YouTube as well. Like you said, keep sharing the word so we can get that algorithm going and make this thing something special. So. Before we go, anyone have any final words, any thoughts?
No, I think that was it's great talking to you, Frankie. You're a good boy. You got to come and visit.
I will be there.
Yeah, thank you, George. Thank you for joining us, Frank. And I think I speak for John as well. We can have him on regularly.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun.
Right. I got plenty more working for this guy.
All right,
guys. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See y'all. Bye-bye.